Hi, I'm Morgan, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book Freakout tag. I did this last year also, so I'll put all the links in the description to the original creator of the video, probably my old video, and like all the questions and stuff. You can find it all down there. If you've never watched one of these before, it's just basically a series of questions to prompt you to talk about your reading year so far, essentially. I wrote the notes that I did in early June. It's now July. Time isn't real. I may have to edit as I go. The first question is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2021? For me, it's got to be To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers, hands down. I gave kind of my review, my thoughts about this book in my last video, in my May wrap up, but it's basically just about a 4-person crew sent out to a series of planets to look for signs of life. And then obviously other stuff happens, but it's Becky Chambers, so it's very much about people and their relationships and how they relate to the world around them. I absolutely loved it. It's probably going to be my favourite book in the year. Nothing else has come near it so far. I mean, we do still have 6 months to go, but I doubt it's going to be replaced at this point. If it is, phenomenal. I would love to have several books that I loved this year. I would like to give an honourable mention to Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. Russian names. They're, oh my god, you need to try and remember how to say them because they don't read how they look. That is a sci-fi that I read for my Soviet literature class, which I absolutely loved, and can also be seen in one of my previous wrap-ups. I think it's in my big one, which was my February to April wrap-up. Question 2 is, what is the best sequel you read in 2021 so far? I haven't read a lot of sequels this year, and the ones that I haven't all been good. Mostly because I've been working my way through the Walking Dead books, but that's another story. My favourite that I have in my notes is The Darkest Legacy by Alexandra Bracken, which I actually found was a really good follow-up to the original series, which is surprising because they're not always the best. You know, sequels that aren't directly tied into the original series are kind of a hit and miss. But I really enjoyed it. I talked about it in my January wrap-up. It's the first book I read this year. Again, I have an honourable mention, and that is The Walking Dead Comics Compendium 4. I don't think I'm going to talk about this in any of my wrap-ups because I think I completely forgot to like write down when I read it. But in case you hadn't noticed, I love zombies. I love The Walking Dead. I'm currently working my way through the novels, and I got my hands on the last compendium. So The Walking Dead comics are thicker than a normal like Marvel comic or whatever, and the compendiums bring together, I think it's maybe like 8 of them or something. I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember. I didn't realise until I got to the end of this compendium that it is in fact finished. There are no more Walking Dead comics. I was heartbroken. The deaths at the end of the... No, we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. It's just an honourable mention. We're not talking about it. Question 3 is, what is a new release you haven't read yet but want to? So, like I said, I made these notes like a month ago, and the first book on my list was Cinderella Isn't Dead, which I have since read and I actually really enjoyed. You will hear about that in my next wrap-up, I think. But some new releases that I actually haven't read yet are One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. You've probably heard of Red, White and Royal Blue. If you haven't by now, where have you been? Under a rock, probably. This is Casey's newest book, and it is sapphic. The 2 main characters are a lesbian and a bisexual woman, I believe, and also there is diversity of skin colour, ethnicity. I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. I just know it's set on like a subway in America, and there's like time travel, and it's gay, and that's all that matters. So I want to read that. And also The Galaxy and the Ground Within, which is the newest Becky Chambers book, and is, I believe, the last Wayfarers book. Although I did say that last time, so who knows at this point. Question 4 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? I don't actually have dates for when these come out, so the first book I talk about may actually be out because I think it was closer to the middle of the year than like the end of the year. And that is The Taking of Jake Livingston, which looks really interesting. There's ghosts. I don't know. I read the blurb and it seemed really good and I want to buy it. I'm also anticipating Dreaming of You by Melissa Lozada Oliva? Hold on. Melissa Lozada Oliva, I believe. I have read her... Do I have Paluda? I don't remember if I have the poetry book, but I have listened to her poetry and I really like her. I met her last year? Jesus. The year before? The year before. Oh my goodness, that was a long time ago. I met her at a poetry slam thing. She was really nice. She did a workshop on funny poetry because she's actually really good at putting humour into her work, and that's one of the things that I love about her poetry. And this, I believe, is a prose novel. I don't think it's a novel in verse. I believe it's prose. But I'm looking forward to reading it because I've never really read something like that from her before. But I do like the way she writes, so I'm keeping my eye out for that. And also for Below the Ribs by Jeffrey Craner, who is one of the creators of Welcome to Night Vale, whom I love. We've been over this. I have likes. My likes are myriad and also the same ones over and over again. Question 5 is, what has been your biggest disappointment of the year so far? Probably Unbreakable by Abby Rushton. I gave it 2 stars. Again, not because it was bad. I talked about this in my last video, which is my May wrap up. I gave it 2 stars. It was fine, but I was really disappointed in it. I thought I was going to enjoy it, and I didn't really. And an honourable mention is Hero by Perry Moore, which I also thought I was going to enjoy more, but I knew kind of straight away when I started reading it that it was not going to be what I expected because of the writing. So probably wasn't as much of a disappointment as Unspeakable. Number 7 is, what is a favourite new author of yours, whether that be debut or new to you? I always find this question hard because I end up reading a lot of books that have been written by people I already know, or I don't really like the book, so it doesn't count. I'm probably just going to go with the Strugatskys because I really enjoyed Roadside Picnic and I would love to read some more Soviet sci-fi literature. I have a couple that I'm going to look for. I'll put some information here. And I also want to read the Hawkeye run, so kind of Matt Fraction, like I'm interested in his take on comics and I'll see if he's written anything else. I don't know what else he's written, but I feel like I'd enjoy the comics written by him, so that. Number 8 is, who is your newest fictional crush? This is another question that I find iffy. I've never really been a fictional crush person, as my friends will no doubt tell you. You know, when you're a teenager and everyone's like, I'm in love with Gail, I'm in love with Peeta, Will Herondale, and Jacob and Edward and all that kind of stuff. I was just like, they're book characters. I love them. Not like that. I mean, also I was gay, but like, even the women, like, I love them, but not like that. So, this is a weird question for me, because as an adult, that's just gotten, like, more true for me. But if I had to choose one, who I think I could, like, see as a fictional crush, probably Ariadne from To Be Taught If Fortunate. I just really connected with her. I really, really enjoyed reading from her perspective and I liked her as a person. So we'll go with her. Question number 9 is, who is your newest favourite fictional character? which is different from the crush question, which is why it's hard for me, because to me they're the same thing. Like, so again, Ariadne, I really, really liked her. I also really liked Priyanka and Roman from the Darkest Legacy. I thought they were really interesting characters and I just really enjoyed them. Roman, I think, was a good love interest for Zoo, and Priyanka was just cool. I liked Priyanka. I also really enjoyed Jordan and Hennessy from Call Down the Hawk. I'm going to read Mr. Impossible soon to get some more of their content. But I wasn't sure whether I was going to enjoy new characters in that universe, you know. The Ronin trilogy is of course its own trilogy, but it's still connected to the Raven cycle, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to take to the characters as well as I did. But I did love the girls. They're great. They're just, they're so interesting. I have so many things to say. You'll hear it in a wrap up. Number 10 is a book that made you cry. Now, it's me we're talking about here. So that is books, plural. So I'm just going to give you a kind of a rundown of the ones that stick out to me the most. First of all, we have Last Night I Sang to the Monster by Benjamin Alire Saenz. I apologise. And then we have The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson, which could also have been another runner-up for my favourite book of the year, because I really enjoyed that. Of course, we have To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. And also The Walking Dead Compendium number 4, because I cried a lot at the end of that. And finally we have The 5 Stages of Andrew Brawley, which I surprisingly teared up a lot at. Number 11 was a book that made you happy. Do I read happy books? No, not really. Anyway, here are my answers. Hawkeye, My Life as a Weapon. It's fun. It's a comic. I love comics. Hawkeye, he's an icon. He is a disaster bisexual, and I will stand by that. Also, probably Call Down the Hawk, even though it's not like a happy book. I lost my mind over Adam and Ronan again. I don't have the words. As you can see, I do not have the words. And I also loved all of the world building she included. That made my little sci-fi heart happy. Okay, so I don't have books for the next question, but anyway. Question 12 is, what is the most beautiful book you have bought or received this year? And again, I made these notes like a month ago, so I don't really have anything fancy that I've bought or received so far. There's the Hellebore magazine comic article things that all have some really, really nice illustrations in them. And then also the Love Frankie copy that I have is rainbow. I'll try and get a picture of it here, but it's a hardcover, and if you take off the dust jacket, it's a rainbow. It's all very cute. However, since I wrote these notes, I have bought a very pretty book, which I shall go and get for you. I graduated from uni, which you might have already figured out, and I now have a job. So I rewarded myself for my first paycheck by buying a book from the Folio Society. I got a Folio Society book for my 21st birthday from my best friend, and it is Persuasion. I've just blanked on the name of Persuasion there. It's absolutely beautiful. So I was having a look through Folio Society to see what I felt like buying, and I got a book that is, I love it, but also I don't know, because I haven't read it in quite a while. But this is probably a go-to book that I love and book that makes me happy, and that is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So here is my copy. Out of it, it's got a little sleeve, but this is it out of the sleeve. It's all sparkly. Here's the robot whose name I have forgotten because I haven't read it since I was in high school. Lovely spine. And because it is, of course, a Folio Society book, inside we have marvellous illustrations. And they do have the whole series that is all related to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the restaurant at the end of the universe and all that kind of stuff. And I will probably collect the whole series because they're all this lovely sparkly blue colour with an image on the front, and I just think they'll look really pretty. and I'm a nerd, so that is probably the most beautiful book I have bought or received so far, and will probably continue to be until the end of the year, unless I find myself enough money to buy more Folio Society books. And we're on the last question now. Question 13. Well, actually, I think you're also supposed to tag people, but I don't have any YouTube friends, so this is the last question for me. And that is, what books do you want to read the most by the end of the year? First of all, Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater. That's in my TBR pile. Currently, it's over there. I'm just not looking at it, even though it's directly in front of my bed. I also want to get to Burn by Patrick Ness, because I love Patrick Ness writing, and this is the newest book of his that I have. On my list, I also had Cinderella Isn't Dead, but I have read it. She is dead. She is dead. That's the whole plot of the book. Cinderella is in fact dead. I know because I've read the book. And yeah, so that's one can be ticked off. I want to finish the Walking Dead novella series. I have, what do I have? I have Descent, Search and Rescue, Search and Destroy? Search and Destroy, not Search and Rescue. Also, I've read Descent, I just read that. So it's Invasion, Search and Destroy, and Return to Woodbury. So I have 3 more of them to go, fingers crossed. I also want to read The Faceless Old Woman Who Secretly Lives in Your Home, which I have started. I am about 100 pages through that. But then I got some holds from the library, so I'm having to read them before I get back to The Faceless Old Woman. And finally, I would love to get to Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I mean, ideally I will read quite a lot of my TBR, because I might include a picture here. I might, we don't know. Either way, I bought myself a little bookshelf to go at the end of my bed, just for my TBR. I have a problem. I have a problem. I keep buying books, I have a problem. But now I can look at them all and remind myself that I have a problem. Anyway, that is the mid-year book Freakout tag. I hope you enjoyed it. And you should definitely check out pretty much any other creator's mid-year book Freakout tag that you see, because I always find it super interesting. They are always a joy to watch, because most booktubers are like me, where they're like, oh my god, what have I read? What have I not read? Just, it makes you realise just how much or how little you have read. It's wild. Since you've made it to the end, I'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, come chat to me in the comments down below, or come chat to me on my social medias, which will be linked in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!